We had to move so fast. We were in such emergency mode that it was very difficult for us to spend a lot of time doing victory laps and advertising exactly what we were doing because we had to move on to the next thing. And, I take some responsibility for that.
Of course, as any Democrat would tell you, the problem from the White House, not enough victory laps.
And not enough victory laps and not enough messaging.
Oh, of course.
Apparently. All right, Topline starts right now.
Hello and welcome to ABC News Topline. I'm Rick Klein.
And I'm Amy Walter.
Every day at noon Eastern, right here bringing you the latest in politics, everything you need to know. /Rick Klein, Twitter.com/Amy E. Walter. Amy, what are we, 10 days out now?
I know. What are we going to do when this
fast.
is all over? It goes too
Already
fast, like our childhood. But we still have 10 more days of fun. All right. Going off of the president's statement there, my first top line is the pre-post-mortem. All right, we're starting to see now more and more Democrats starting to already maybe make some excuses for their losses on November 2nd. Joe Biden today, and Bloomberg notes that really, if they do lose the House, he doesn't think they will, but if they do, it's because they simply got outspent by these anonymous corporate donors.
Yeah, no, this is really striking for him to say that there's a caveat at all in whether they win it. We're seeing so much of what's going on before November 2nd now looking as if we're talking about November 3rd and back. And that is something the White House has to be careful of because a lot of Democrats haven't lost their races yet. They don't like this kind of talk. Next up today on that same team, AFSCME arrives. This just into the narrative that Democrats are trying to portray of Republicans buying an election. We find out from today's Wall Street Journal that actually it's AFSCME, the American Federation of State, County, Municipal Employees, the public sector labor union that is the largest player among the outside groups so far in this election. Up to $87 million. They have accessed emergency funds and tried to kick us into gear. We have asked many times in this program and elsewhere, where are the left? Where are the left groups? Where are the labor groups? Why aren't they involved? Now we're seeing that happening.
Well, and we also saw in that graphic that the campaign committees, the DCCC and the DSCC, spending twice as much money as some of these outside groups are spending. So when it all is said and done, we're going to have a lot of discussion about campaign finance, but I don't think we're going to find that Democrats were really outspent by the margins that they say they are. All right, next up, Western Wall. The president now out west. Of course, he was with Patty Murray yesterday, down with Barbara Boxer in California today. As polls showing these races are tightening, we moved both races from the lean Democrat column to toss-up today. Also breaking that the DSCC pouring another big chunk of money into Washington state. Remember at one point we were talking about the firewall being Connecticut?
Yeah.
It's clear it's the West Coast time zone, which means none of us are going to sleep
a
on
later
election
night. Maybe it'll never end. That's all we can root for, totally. And finally today, Sharon's Shush. This is the latest in the saga of local reporters trying to ask Sharon Angle a question. Take a look at what happened yesterday at an event out in Nevada.
Sharon, can we talk to you about why
Well, I have to get on, but I just want to ask you to get out the vote, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. That was the exact quote that I would describe.
You actually got that verbatim.
Yeah, I have the transcript. It was shh. Just said like that. Does that work for you?
Let's not talk about that. But has she had any reporters arrested yet?
Not yet. We still have 10 days. We can always root for something. We're joined today by Paige Gardner, the president of Women's Voices, Women's Vote. And Paige, there's been a lot made in the last couple of days and weeks about, is this the year of Republican women? And we're seeing a likelihood maybe that there are fewer Democratic women coming back to Congress. What's your take on what's going on out there?
Well, in terms of women voters, which is what we're interested in, you're seeing a lot of women voters make up their minds and pay attention very late. We have a new polling data that shows there's a difference between married and unmarried women, again, in this cycle. And unmarried women now are performing at about the same levels that they were in 2008 in terms of coming back to progressive Democrats. So we'll see.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute, because we're hearing a lot about this gender gap, and which we always do every cycle. But the gender gap, not as big of an issue as the fact that women are not, at least right now, saying that they're going to vote for Democrats by the margins that they have given Democrats their vote in the past. A lot of theories on this, one being, of course, the economy, that's affecting women, especially some of these unmarried women, disproportionately than some other groups.
That's absolutely true. There is, I mean, these women, particularly unmarried women, as you say, have been on the front lines of the Great Recession. However, they are looking now at what's being done and what has been done. They are paying attention. You're right, the support for Democratic candidates overall are down, but we see now this shift and then, you know, a dramatic shift in the past few days that we've seen the tracking.
Well, so why are they not as excited about Democrats? Wouldn't you say, if you said, you hear the president, of course, saying, we've done all these things for you, we're sorry we didn't, you know, put it out there more clearly, but is that really what it is, that the women didn't get the message, or is it that the policies themselves just really didn't work for them?
No, I think that the president is right. They didn't take the victory lap. They didn't go around and explain in a way that touches people on their front porch what happened. They didn't explain the health care reform. These women want to know, and when they know that you can't discriminate anymore based on your gender, that you can't get rid of people for pre-existing conditions, that garners support. When you talk about health care reform overall, you know, not so much.
Right, just saying healthcare reform. I know you're not a big fan of the Tea Party movement generally, but a lot of the top, the most prominent Tea Partiers out there these days are women. Sharon Angle, Christine O'Donnell, Sarah Palin, of course, who's out at another rally in Phoenix today. Do you think, is there something in what they're saying that's connecting with women, independent women, maybe previously Democratic voting women, or do you think it's a different cohort altogether?
No, I mean, if you look at what's happening, for example, in Connecticut and the women candidate losing women so dramatically, I think that women voters, they take a look at women candidates, they take a hard look, and then they figure out where they stand on the issues.
Is there nothing that that Tea Partiers are saying you think that's connecting at all with women?
Well, no, I think that they're tapping into the frustration and the anger, and I think these people's lives are very stretched, and they're tired of it. And they're tired of not being employed, and they're tired of trying to have 2 jobs or 3 jobs to support their kids. But yeah, you're right. There's the anger. It's palpable.
Well, we're seeing it in a number of places. Colorado, we're seeing it in Pennsylvania, California, where the argument, even against some women candidates, Republican women candidates, is that they're too extreme on issues like abortion, which have traditionally been used to try to attract women voters. Is this a strategy that works in a year where the recession and anger about the economy is still number one?
Well, what we're seeing in our polling is that the economy is number one. Obviously, most women voters, unmarried women, are very, very pro-choice. And that's in some ways a disqualifier for a candidate who is rabidly anti-choice. But you're right, the economy is the key issue.
Just quickly, do you read anything into the likelihood that there will be more Republican women in the next Congress and fewer Democratic women?
I think the policies will change. I think you'll see people having I think you'll see Congress having a hard time repassing paycheck fairness and things that would really help women.
Do you think that there should have been a better effort by progressive allies, liberal allies, to go and make the case? If the president couldn't make the case on how this was going to affect people's lives, health care, et cetera, where were the other groups?
You know, I think that they did not realize the extent to which there was a disconnect between the current narrative and what people needed to hear. And so I think people are coming to the party late.
Right.
All right. But they're trying.
Paige Gardner from Women's Voices, Women Vote.
Correct.
Excellent. I got it right. Thank
Yes.
you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.